we've been talking for a while. You wanna go out and
go
see
see
the Lego
the
Pharrell
Pharrell?
movie? Listen, it can't get any worse. My first date ever was me and this girl I talked to in high school, and we went to see Venom with Tom Hardy. that was
That
our
movie is
first date.
garbage.
We dated for 2.5 months, and then she broke up. Hello and welcome back to the Nerdiest podcast, the show where nerds talk about nerdy things. On this episode, we're going to be diving into Jackson's anime adventure, and we're going to be talking about the first season of the hit anime Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. So if you haven't seen season 1 and you want to watch it and get caught up before jumping into this episode, great. Go
God
for
bless.
it. On Crunchyroll, only 12 episodes, super easy binge. But if you've already seen it or you don't care to watch it and you want to hear what we have to say anyway, great. We're also going to talk about a ton of other stuff this episode before we get to that main topic. But before any of that, I am your host, as always, Mr. Nick Barrett, and I am joined by my ride or die, Mr. Jackson Glass. So do tell me, how have you been the last 2 weeks? Because we've actually stayed on schedule, and it's been a hot minute since we recorded. So how have you been?
Man, I'm good. Man, bi-weekly is hard. I get antsy and I want to record, but it's good thing. It's been a good week. It's just been busy. It's been a lot. Full-time student with a part-time job is a hard life. It's a rough life. It's hard to live. And I get to a point, I don't know if you do this, at the end of the day, I usually get sad if I don't get to do something that I wanted to do. So if I've just been in school or at work all day, I just come home and I'm like, well, I don't want to go to bed because then I just had a boring day. So last night I came home and I watched the last episode of Mashle so we could be ready for today. And then I was like, I want to play Minecraft so bad. I've felt like a drug addict this week, the way that I'm just I just need a hit. I just need a new Minecraft world. I just right now. And so it's oh, I can start a Minecraft world. So I started a Minecraft world, and I have a really cool cave house right now where I can I'm walling off this big hole in the mountain, and I'm going to live there. And it's so fun. And I don't have a farm yet. Well, I'm working on a farm. So I'm definitely hungry and but I got a great seed, and I'm living large. It's just, man, school is busy, work is busy, lots of good stuff, lots of good content. Working on some great stuff. I'm working on a script right now that will be done very, very soon. So keep an eye out. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Another short film we're working on. But man, other than that, I'm good. Just working on school. And so I've missed recording. But Mr. Nick Barrett, how are you before we continue?
I'm good. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we spent all of last week snowed in.
Yes.
Which was a fun
I forgot
experience.
about that. Yeah.
It was nice because I was able to work from home, so I didn't have to go a week without getting paid.
Right.
But I also don't like working at home. It's not ideal for me because I do like being in the office and being able to interact with my coworkers in person. It's also a lot harder to get distracted by my video games and stuff because I was sitting right here at this desk working, and it was so hard to not just turn around and start playing video games or grab some manga off the shelf. I had to actually stay dialed in, because it's one thing when I'm working on podcast stuff, that's not my primary job, that's not what I'm getting paid for, that's not where I'm employed. But when you're working for the employer, you gotta stay
right. You gotta
laser
hone in.
focused and work on stuff. So that was a challenge, but I got through it. Where we were back in the office this week, which is so amazing. I missed being in the office. Some people are not big on working in the office. I am. As I said, I like working in the office. Aside from that, this week has been a little hectic because it was getting back into the routine of things. I had my small group on Monday, young adults at church on Tuesday, So like getting back into the flow of things this week has been a little difficult, and figuring out where all the editing fits in. And the first like spurt of the podcast here is a little crazy because I didn't realize that we had an episode and an after show to record this weekend.
Yeah.
I thought it was just an episode, so I didn't prepare for that at all. So we're like doubling up this weekend. I think we're recording again next weekend because we're shifting things around in the schedule. So it's like, that's been a little chaotic. But outside of that, I have been able to kind of relax and just take the days a little slower and try to chill out more. And to go back to what you said about getting to the end of the day and not doing anything you want to do, I feel that so immensely. Like, I will get to the end of a work day and be like, dude, I just want to read some manga or play video games or whatever. And I can't because I got other stuff to do. And this is the part where like I say that to my mom and she comes in and she's like, well, this is adulting for you.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not
helpful.
That's not helpful. I understand.
Also,
I just need you to listen and say, man, that sucks.
It also doesn't have to be, though. Like, I know plenty of very healthy adults that, like, get their job done and they take care of their family well and they, like, all this, and they play video games. Like, not as much as, like, a junior in high school would, but also, like, I think there is something to say for, like, you're allowed to have the things that you enjoy. You're allowed to go and relax after a long day and play some Breath of the Wild or go play, like, I don't know, Modern Warfare 2. Like, if that's your thing, like, go play Apex or whatever. Like, I don't know. I feel like we need to get rid of the stigma of, like, video game bad when it's like, well, too much of anything is bad. Like, it's when you become obsessive with it and start neglecting the things you have to do, it becomes bad. But, like, if that's how you rest, then go rest. Like, that's okay.
Right.
So, I don't know. I completely forgot about Snow Week, and it just kind of, like, escaped my mind.
I think it's because we all wanted it to be over.
Right.
Like, halfway through the week. Because, like, snow is cool until it becomes an inconvenience. Then it's not cool. But the problem is where we live, we don't plow or salt or anything.
No.
Like, the entire city essentially just shut down for a week. And it was like, if you can make it out, great. If you can't, well, sucks to suck. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So, about halfway through the week, the snow started melting because the sun came out. Not because it was over freezing, but because the sun came out. So all that snow melted, but not all of it melted. And then what didn't melt froze. So I kid you not, our street out there was a sheet of ice. Like, it was just solid ice. So we couldn't go anywhere all week. And it was like, I mean, it was still pretty bad when I left for work Monday morning because it was over freezing, but it was still like it hadn't frozen yet. So I was ready for it to be like, by like Wednesday, I was like, no, I'm done.
Yeah, no, it's over. Well, it was hard too because like we were off school, and so it was like, okay, on Sunday they said, okay, we're closing tomorrow, and we're like, oh, cool. Well, we were closed anyway because it was MLK Day, and so it was like, oh, okay, cool, just whatever, it's snowy. And then Tuesday they were like, yeah, we're closed, and it was like, oh, sick, 4-day weekend, like this is awesome, or yeah, 4-day weekend. We're like, awesome. And then Tuesday they were like, yeah, Wednesday's canceled. And we were like, oh, 5-day weekend. And then Thursday was like, we're canceled. And I was like, I'm depressed. Like, I have not seen the light of day in like a week. And it would have been different if we knew that it was going to be canceled for a full week. Like, if they could have said, and they couldn't have, but if they could have said on Sunday, that says, hey, weather's here, we can't come back till next Monday, my week would have looked a lot different because I would have been like, oh, I have this week, I can, but the day by day turned it into, oh, I have another day, I can do it tomorrow. Oh, I can do it tomorrow. So now I have like this week where I did pretty much nothing, which was good, but it was just hard. And it was like this week I did nothing, and then in that weekend I like crammed to finish all the homework that was due Monday. And it was like, bro, you had this full week to do it. So I don't know. I learned a lot about myself, and I learned how to drive on ice because I said, screw this, I don't care. And I drove to the store, and I drove to Amy's house, and I drove everywhere, and it was fine. And you just slide a little, and then you just, you slow down and you course correct, and then you keep going, and it's fine.
Is your car 4-wheel drive?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, mine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does make it a little easier.
It makes it a little easier, and I also currently drive a total 99 Subaru, and so like
I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, so like the back of the car is like completely bent in from where it was hit from the back, and so it's kind of like, if I like slide too far and I flip this car into a ditch, I could probably make a profit. So honestly,
we just leave it there.
We just leave it there. So honestly, it wasn't like I had a lot to lose.
Yeah, like you can't total the total. Like,
right.
If it's total,
it's over.
You can't do much to it to make it worse.
I did feel weird the week we were inside because I was like, oh my gosh, we did this in 2020. I was like, bro, we were inside for like months, and we were just okay with it. And we were just like, yeah, I just, made bread and stuff. And it's like, bro, we did that?
I don't think it was we were okay with it. I think it was we didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And we all kind of like, because here's the thing, though, with quarantine in 2020, which is so wild that, again, so wild that was already 4 years ago. It doesn't feel like it's been that long. It was just like you kind of adapted to doing stuff at home. And like I was in school. So to me, it was like, oh, sick. I get to stay home and play video games all day.
Right.
And then because it was right on our spring break. And I was like, oh, sick. 2 weeks off school.
Right.
Dude, that's awesome. And then like 3 months later, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of going insane.
Right.
I need to get out of the house.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm gonna explode.
Like being in the house for longer than 2 days at a time makes me like think back to that time, and I was like, we were built different back then. Like, what were we thinking? Like, what was going on?
I was in here. I was in my room because I had to be in here for 8.5 hours every single day, and I was like, I'm gonna go insane.
I'll never
because
forget.
Like my door had to be closed because we were all on a call, like working together and stuff. And like, I was like, I can't do that.
I remember,
I
I went to go like make breakfast at one point, and my mom was like, "Hey, I know this sounds weird, but we need to conserve food." And I was like, "Shut up! What are you talking about?" And it was like, oh my god! Like looking back, I was like, how freaking traumatic was that? Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, like my mom, like day one of COVID, my mom went to Publix and filled like 3 carts with food.
Dude, we went to Costco. And my dad came back with all the stuff, and we Lysoled all the food and like Lysoled him. And I'm just like, we for real lived in the plague, and now we're just here like LOL. Like
we filled up 3 carts at Publix and then went to Costco and filled up 2 more carts. We didn't leave the house for like 3 weeks. It was insane.
Dude.
And it was like, yeah, we did. Like we Lysoled everything, like cleaned everything. It was in that initial like 2 or 3 weeks where everyone was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Like we've never lived through this before.
It was just unprecedented.
Like, oh my gosh. And then by the end of the first month, more information had come out and everyone was like,
oh, okay.
It's not that bad.
I mean,
and then like by the time, like I'll be honest, we live in the South. Like by the time you got to June, everyone was like, masks
okay.
overrated.
Because
it's
it really
like we can cough on each other, we'll be fine.
It really depended on where you lived, because some places got hit a lot harder than others, and it was definitely a very real thing that like we had to take seriously, but also like if you had to watch your local news to know what was going on.
Right.
Like if you needed to watch like what your mayor was saying, what your city county was saying, because it affected you like right there. And so the government said, I'm not going to go on an anti-government rant right now, but it's like the government would be like, oh, we have to do this. And I'm like, yeah, but like LA isn't my southern small town. Like
Right,
they're
like
way more condensed over there.
What
Like
happened in California didn't really affect us out on the East Coast, like because it's just so far removed. So to your point,
Right.
we did have to kind of be like, well, we're just
You
gonna focus on what's going on in my little small town down here
Right.
in the South. Our cases are like way down compared to
Yeah.
LA, so we're
Right.
gonna keep having our 4th of July barbecue.
Here we are. And you know, that's the Southern spirit, man. I tell you what, they don't give a
Dude,
dang.
rain or shine, in sickness and in health, we will celebrate 4th of July.
That 4th of July barbecue hits different. Like
It don't matter.
Like we were for real risking our lives to go to that 4th of July barbecue. We were like, it's over, guys.
I mean, at that point, like, you've been cooped up in your house so long, like, it would feel great to get out and blow some
Right.
stuff up. And, like, get that pent up
absolutely.
frustration out.
Get it out of there.
Dude, we
Man.
could do a whole after show on the quarantine experience.
Oh, I have so many like videos and scripts and stuff that just aged so poorly because I like was
Dude,
really
remember-
like taking my time to do like this quarantine like I don't know like narrative, and I was like, bro, this is cringe.
Do you remember that video we were supposed to do? What was it? It was going to Disney during quarantine.
Oh my gosh,
But
yes.
we scripted it out. And, like, I was going to be there.
Right.
And then you were going to record stuff on your end at the green screen. And, like, it was going to
Yeah.
be this big scripted thing. And then I got there, and there were a lot more people there than initially anticipated.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
No, we can't.
We're calling it out. We're calling it out. We
If you
can't
did
do
it
this.
today, we would still do it though. We would just go for it. Like
100%. We'd just be like, it
like,
is what it is. Like, it's
there's
fine.
always people here. Like, what are you gonna do? Ooh. Anyway, didn't
Well,
expect to
not
go
to-
on a quarantine rant.
Yeah, that just kind of came
That
out of
was-
nowhere.
Came out of
Okay.
nowhere. So later this episode, we will be talking about Mashle, muscles, and magic as
Magic and muscles.
Harry Potter the show. So
No, it actually kind of is.
before we get into that, there is a little bit of news to talk about. So
I
you'd
don't
like to
wanna
take it
talk
away
about this first
on our
one.
first one.
Makes me
Just
so mad.
just hit me with it.
Okay, so picture this, right? Like, you've been stuck inside because of the snow for a couple days now. And you're like, you got all this pent up frustration. The last thing you want to hear is that one of your favorite movies of all time is getting a sequel.
Mm.
And what I mean by that is apparently the Polar Express is getting a sequel in the year of our Lord 2024. It has been like 20 years since the original came out, and they thought, yes, now is the time to do a sequel.
You know what we haven't
Listen.
capitalized in a long time?
Train
Polar
movies? Exactly. And I'm like, dude, get out of here. First of all, The Polar Express doesn't need a sequel. It's a perfect movie in and of itself. But that's a topic for a different episode. Also, I don't have enough faith in modern media to actually tell a good story with the Polar Express, because every time we try to remake a Christmas movie or add on to it, you try to like modernize it, and then it ends up getting like political somewhere, and it's not about the entertainment value anymore. And I feel like that's the way a Polar Express sequel would go. And I also don't want to run the risk of like having a sequel that ruins the first movie. Like, there definitely could be a story there if you kind of squint and look at it differently. But like, the whole point of the Polar Express is to take these kids from their house to the North Pole and back. How do you tell another story without it seeming too repetitive?
Right. Like, is
And
there a
doing the
conductor
same
origin
thing.
story here? Like,
Right.
where is it? Like, is
Like-
Tom Hanks coming back? I also think the Polar Express is it's art of its time. Like those Robert, what's his name? Robert Zemeckis. His name is so hard to say. The director.
Robert Zemeckis.
Robert Zemeckis. Like those like motion capture like Robert Zemeckis movies were such a product of their time. And so it's like, are we going to do that again? Like, are you just trying to make the Polar Express again with better animation so that people can stop saying it's creepy? Because the creepy is what keeps people going back to it. Like, it stands out. It's a unique thing. Like, I feel like this might be another, like, Illumination Grinch situation where it's like, yeah, you know, they made another Grinch movie, but, like, it's not the same. It's just kind of
nobody
generic.
likes it as much as the original. That's
That's
problem.
what I'm saying. Right. So I don't know. I don't know what the move is on that one.
I don't think we need it. I mean, I understand why they're doing it. It's definitely a money thing. But I don't know. I read the interview with the director, and when he talked about it, he was like, "Yeah, I kind of want to go back and revisit some of my older movies." And the Polar Express was on there as getting like another movie. So I don't know if it's a sequel or a remake or a prequel or whatever. I just think the Polar Express should be left alone. I think there are a lot of Christmas movies that should just be left alone. Because you made a really good first one, so let's focus on making more original Christmas movies instead of banking off of like, oh, the Polar Express is really popular, so let's make another one. Like, no, just do your
something
own thing
original for once.
and call it a day.
Yeah. That makes sense, you know. It's really something, you know. I don't know what to say, you know. Anyway, so moving on. On the next one, this felt really random.
This came out of nowhere.
I have no idea.
I didn't think
this.
It was real when I
thought
saw
this was a joke.
Tweet.
No, I thought it was a joke. There is a movie coming to theaters. This is a theatrical release.
I'm going to see if I can find any more info about
A movie talking about Pharrell Williams' life, right? So the iconic producer Pharrell. Not only so that's fine. Like, make a Pharrell movie, that'd be dope. But it's not just a Pharrell movie. The Pharrell movie is in Lego. It's a Lego animated movie about Pharrell Williams. Huh?
Yeah. So on Friday, Grammy-winning multi-hyphenate Pharrell Williams announced that he was set to produce Piece by Piece, a new film chronicling his life story told entirely through Lego brick animation.
Why?
Like, I understand. I get it. But it's like such a weird medium. And I'm like glancing through this interview, right? And I'm looking at it. And it seems like he wants to do a biopic, but dance around the idea of casting someone else as him and just be different. Because, like, obviously biopics are the new hit thing. Because Elvis did really good, and there's some others that did really good.
You got Elvis and
So
Weird and, like, Oppenheimer.
Definitely,
and, like,
it's definitely going to stand out. It will definitely be
sure.
different. But is Pharrell, like, a family-friendly artist?
No. Pharrell has a lot of the songs he's worked on have been with like he's a legendary producer, so he's worked with like Snoop Dogg and like he produced Milkshake. Do you know Milkshake?
Nope.
The my milkshake bring all the boys to the yard.
No way.
Yeah, Pharrell made that song.
What?
Yeah. He also made Drop It Like It's Hot. He made Drop It Like It's Hot. He produced Tokyo Drift.
I didn't know this.
Yeah. So
this is new information to me.
He has an iconic. This is what I mean. Pharrell is truly an icon. He has a producer tag, but it's not like a normal like tag like a voice. He does a 4-bar count in on any song that he produces. So like on Drop It Like It's Hot, when it does the boom 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 boom, like that count in is his tag. Or on Milkshake, it'll go like or Tokyo Drift, where it goes bing 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 bing. Yeah. that's his thing, is to do the 4-bar count. Or on Happy, when it goes do 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 do, it might seem crazy. Like, that's his thing.
Yeah.
So he's worked on like a ton of these incredible, like, he is truly like an iconic producer, has done so many things like solo and with groups and whatever. He made all the Despicable Me soundtracks, which is, what a guy. He's really captured the medium on that one. But why Legos? Like, what's the connection? Like, I just need an explanation. I'm not mad. I'm just a little confused.
Yeah, like, this is a weird me. Here, I'm telling you right now, mid-October, when that movie drops, we're going to get a Pharrell Williams icon skin in Fortnite, and it's going to have the Lego version for Lego Fortnite. Dude. Pharrell coming to the festival.
Yo.
I'm saying it's all right there.
Honestly, here's the thing. Like, biopic movies are huge right now. And, I'm not opposed to them switching it up. Like, Weird, the Al Yankovic story, did the exact same thing, where they did like a parody of a biopic, which was very on brand for Weird Al. The thing is here, like, is this on brand for Pharrell to do Legos? Like, am I missing something here?
I almost wonder if they're trying to keep Lego movies relevant because the next one isn't ready yet. Like, I know they're rebooting the Lego movies, I think, with Universal.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if the Universal Lego movie isn't ready yet. But they want to, like, keep Lego movies in the zeitgeist of people going to the theaters. So, I don't know. I'll probably end up going to see it. Even if it's just to see how it is. Like,
right.
I'll probably
Even
get a couple people from small group to be like, hey, you guys want to go see the Lego Pharrell movie?
Yo, he did Rock Your Body?
I was like going through the Pharrell songs I knew in my head.
Yeah.
And I could now I'm not going to be able to unhear the the
4-bar counting. He did All Right with Kendrick Lamar.
I like his Marilyn Monroe album. Or no, that's not what it's called.
Is it just called
It's
Girl?
called something else. I think so. Is that the one where it's like yellow and he's got
is that the one where he's in the
girls
sauna?
are on the yeah.
Yes, I think that's Girl. He did Feels with Katy Perry and a ton of other people.
Yeah, it's from the album that Happy is on.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, Pharrell's a really humble guy, is he not?
I think he is. As far as I can tell. I really liked him when he was on The Voice. Dude, you know what this means, though? Is we might get Daft Punk Lego on the big screen. Because he did... One of his biggest songs is Get Lucky, which is a Daft Punk song that he was on.
Man,
so
that
we
would
might
be a dream come true for you, wouldn't it?
For me, like, dude, I kid you not. I'll have to find a picture and post it somewhere. I made my own Lego Daft Punk figures, and
Dude,
I put them, and I built them a little like DJ booth, and I put them on our Lego mall, and they were called the DJ Brothers, and they like played all the music for the mall, and it was like a whole narrative. It was a whole thing. And then
that's crazy.
There was like a donut shop in the mall, and like one of the I don't know if she had an affair with one of the DJ brothers or if they were just flirty or what, but like one of the like shop owners, his wife like was connected to them in somehow. It was wild. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go see it. That's something. I'm not opposed.
You know what that sounds like
unique.
to me? It sounds to me like a great first date movie. Of like, hey, we've been talking for a while. You wanna go out and see the Lego Pharrell movie? Listen, it can't get any worse. My first date ever was me and this girl I talked to in high school, and we went to see Venom with Tom Hardy.
Oh,
that was our first date.
Garbage.
We dated for 2.5 months, and then she broke up with me. So I don't know if that was the best place to start. We literally only went and saw bad movies, except for we went and saw Venom, and then the month after that we went and saw Fantastic Beasts 2.
Ew!
Which was not good.
2 is worse than 1.
And then the last movie we saw together was the Lego Movie 2, which is really good.
Which is a good movie.
But she
not as good as the first one, but good.
She didn't like musicals.
Oh.
So that was hard for her.
Which is number one red flag.
I got home that night. Like, I paid and everything. Like, a true gentleman. I got home. We started, like, texting and stuff. And she was like, yeah, I got to be honest. I don't think this is going to work out. And I was like, oh.
After she got a free Lego Movie 2 showing from you.
I'm like, man, I bought your dinner and, like, took you to see the Lego Movie 2. Like, and...
Because here's the thing, though. This obviously didn't come out of nowhere. She knew she was starting to feel this way and still went and got dinner and saw the movie. Like,
no, she, like, in hindsight, I found out she knew, like, a month before.
Oh, right.
This was not going to work out. And I was like, and you didn't say anything?
Yeah. Yeah.
You just, wow. I felt so used. I was like, man.
You're like, wow.
Using me for my Lego Movie 2 tickets on the Thursday opening night? Get out of here.
How dare you? First of all, how
spent that money on Lego.
Yeah, so that's something. More update on that. I cannot wait for that trailer. That's gonna be something. Listen, this is my new most anticipated movie. Like, get out of here.
This might have made the Nerdiest Awards if they announced it a couple.
Someone tell Genre Geeks this
earlier.
Is what we want to do with them. This is the movie we want to do. The Lego Pharrell movie.
I will message them on Instagram right now.
No, my gosh. Because I still kind of want to do Deadpool 3.
Oh, is it me? Hold on, did I win? Oh,
no,
I didn't
you
win
were
the
so
Mind
close.
Rewind. Oh!
You were so close. I almost tagged you in it. You were just one off. You almost won the giveaway. Hey guys, go listen to the Mind Rewind new
I don't
podcast.
think you can.
Oh, is it not out yet? Well, if you're like listen in the future, go listen to the Mind Rewind new podcast. Not by us, but by some cool people. So, moving on. Recent legislation, because apparently we're talking politics today, showed that Florida has attempted to ban social media from users under 16, and not only can you not create new accounts from 16 and from under 16, but accounts that are from younger than 16 will be terminated, and the companies that withhold that data would legally be required to like erase it from existence. Now, I thought this was an interesting article because this has come up a lot, and like apparently, and I don't have anything to confirm this, I just heard it from someone else, but like the state of New York is called like a state of emergency on like the mental health crisis that social media has had on teens and kids. And I'm just kind of here like, yeah, you're 8 years too late. Like,
yeah,
we've
you're a little
known
far behind on this one, bud.
Like, we've known this for like ever, and we're just now like talking about it. And like, I don't know, because and I just posed the question, like, can we save social media, or is it just kind of like well, here we are. I don't know, because like on one hand, you know, the solution to not being affected to social media is deleting it and just not having it. But I would also argue, like, as a video creator and a podcast creator and like as a musician and like all these things, I need Instagram. Like, how else do you share your stuff with the world, with people? So like, how would we promote our podcast without, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, that kind of thing? And like, there is word of mouth. I was listening to a podcast this week as the Smosh Rewind, which is actually really good. I listened to the Jax Film episode, and they talked about, they were like, back in the day, to go viral on YouTube, you had to be reblogged. Like, these bloggers had to send a link to your website where your video was. It wasn't on YouTube, or if it was, it would be like super niche, like no one knew what it was. And now we're at a point where like, the number one career that kids want is they want to be a YouTuber, they want to be a Twitch streamer, all these things, where it's like, what do we do? Like, do we just like have to police Instagram more? Or because is the problem the big corporations, or is the problem the people? Because let's be real, like YouTube has done some crappy stuff, But nothing that has made me feel bad has been from YouTube itself. It's been from like people that have commented and have said mean things. So I'm trying to like find a solution. It's like, you know, at the end of the day, people are going to be people. And it's
Right.
like there's no way to entirely cleanse the internet of anything bad because, you know, we're a fallen, you know, the fall of humanity. We're a sinful people. You can't just be like, oh, no bad YouTube comments.
Right.
Because it's just impossible. But we can like try our best to like make the corporations enforce the best they can. But like, what can they do? I don't really know the solution.
Right. I think the problem is both. It is the corporations and the people, because I know part of this bill is an effort to stop selling information of people under 16.
Right.
Because there are a lot of, like, the apps will track your cookies and, like, track all this stuff to learn about you and sell you ads, and, like, numerous companies, like more than I can count, have been caught selling information illegally. Like, so I think it's partially that, but also to your point, nothing bad I've ever experienced on the internet has come from Instagram itself or Twitter or YouTube. Like, it's always the people on that app. And I do think that we are a little behind in the sense of putting up parameters. Like, social media just moved way too fast for anyone or any kind of like lawmakers to keep up with it, and it's outpaced the laws. So like now as a society, like, we're finally catching up, but our generation was really the first one to go through that. So now that we're through it, we're starting to see all of the long-term effects of what being terminally online for your entire high school years is like, what it's like comparing yourself to people online, doing stuff for the gram and for Twitter and stuff. And I do think, and there are studies out there. There's a really good documentary on Netflix. What is it called? I think it's
The Social Dilemma.
Social Dilemma. Yeah. That talks about how being on social media has a negative impact on the mental health of the people who do it if you're under a certain age. Like, if you're 18 and up, by that point, you should be well-adjusted enough as a person to get on social media. But if you're 13, 14, 15, and, like, I know this is especially true with girls, is, like, they post, like, hey, I'm out with my friends, and then somebody in the comments has to be like, well, you're really ugly. And, like, getting that over and over again really affects your mental health. So I do think there should be some type of law in place to keep people from being on the internet under a certain age. Because, like, even my sister, who's younger than me, has talked about, like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel and, like, post YouTube videos and stuff. And I'm like, I don't think you should. Because as someone who's been making content and putting it out on the internet for a long time, I have dealt with firsthand, like, all of the negative comments and all of the things that come with that, and people who will just hate you for the sake of hating you.
Mm-hmm.
It's never about the content. It's never about anything you say or anything you do. It is always so targeted at you specifically. There is, like, we can't have a conversation anymore. And I've seen this most recently with the clip I put out on the podcast channel about Jujutsu Kaisen, and, like, just saying, hey, it's not my cup of tea, like, it's not my thing, explaining why I don't like it. Like, 90% of those comments was just attacking me personally and not the opinion that I put out there. Like, they'd say, your opinion is wrong and you're stupid. Like,
Right.
you could just say, your opinion is wrong and I disagree, and move on and call it a day.
Right.
Like, you don't have to attack me personally.
Right.
So, that being said, I do hope this bill goes through, because something needs to be done. The mental health crisis is a very real thing, and I think taking social media out of that is the first step to getting to a better place. Because there is a lot of hate and just a lot of negative things that happen on social media. And
Right.
like, being constantly plugged in and comparing yourself to other people, even like social media, looking at the news all the time. Like, that's not healthy. Like, you should not be, like, you should be informed and you should know what's going on, but you shouldn't be so, like, dialed in to everything. Like, so I think
we were not created to know as much as we do. Like,
right,
we
like,
know too
we
much.
shouldn't know what's going on in Asia right now. We weren't meant to comprehend that kind of information.
Right.
Because it's just like, now we're worrying about things that we can't control. So
because it's like, you know, you should stay informed on those things, but I don't like knowing every tiny little detail of every country in the world. That's just a lot. That's just a lot for a person to handle, let alone like, and that's kind of been this entire point. Like, if you're 14 years old and you have full access to all of that, how do you comprehend the world? How do you comprehend life? And this also comes down to a parenting thing, but it's also really hard because it's like, you know, if your kid has like all their friends at school are on Instagram, like you're gonna be the lame parent that says no. Like, that's really hard. And so it's like, I think the problem is we need to separate the issues, because social media selling your information is an issue, but selling your information is a different issue than the mental health crisis. And trying to combine it into like the same issue is a problem, because this is a security issue and this is a health issue, and they need to be dealt with. So saying like, you know, there's been like, I've watched the entire Facebook employee hearing trial. I had to for a class. It's disgusting. It's awful. They sell your information to whoever they want, and they try to justify it by giving you 1,000 pages of legal print that they know you're not going to read, so you just press accept, and then you sign all of your information away. There is a level of user error that comes in with that, of like, hey, you don't need to say every single tiny detail of your life on social media. You don't need like what you have to consider your digital footprint. And like, employers look at your public social media. All of your friends and family can look at it. Like, anyone can look at it. So there is a level of user error that is, you should know better than to say that or to post that, whatever. But there is a level where on a corporate scale, they're just taking your information. They're just stealing it. But that's a different issue than we're comparing ourselves to everyone because we have access to all this information. Right. Or like, you know, we can't talk about that. Like, it's social media is not just one giant problem. It's like 8 like medium problems that we just don't know how to address one head on. Because anytime you talk about the social media conversation, especially like from a law standpoint, we're really like, we can't just do one issue. It has to be the blanket social media bad, when it's like, no, a lot of good has come from this too, but I think enforcing below 16 is a good idea, but like, are we too far gone? Like, is it too late? And it's just like,
I don't
what
think
do we
so.
do?
I think it's going to be if this bill goes through and they start doing it, it's going to be rough.
Yeah.
For a little bit. Like, that initial cut is going to be good, but I think what would end up happening is Florida will do it, and then another state will do it, and another state will do it, and it'll kind of like start trickling through all the different states based on who's running.
Right.
Because there are some states that won't based on their leadership, and there's some that will immediately follow suit based on their leadership. That's not what we're here to talk about. But
it's just interesting.
It is, it's going to be rough, but I don't think it's too far gone. And to your point, there is a lot of good stuff that comes from social media. Like, you can stay connected with your family who lives on the other side of the country. You can stay connected with your high school friends. Like, but I do think there needs to be something in place, because I honestly don't think you should be on the internet at the age of like 16 or lower.
No.
I didn't get Instagram and Snapchat and all that until I was 15. So like, I'm pretty close to that 16 anyway. Right. And that was just because my mom knew I didn't need those things. And I got them because my high school friends had them. And if they didn't have them, I probably would have stayed off for a while. But yeah. And like with my sister, my mom's like, no social media till you're 18. Like, you don't need to be, because there's also a lot of inappropriate stuff on
right
social
just things
media.
no one needs to see, let alone a 14-year-old.
Something we're not considering, and this comes down to even outside of the 18 or the 16-year-old, and like I'll use this to wrap up the conversation. We can move on to the next thing. Is AI is such a dangerous thing right now, because AI, and what I think about this with us all the time, because we're on here, we're talking, saying things like, you could plug all of our episodes into the podcast and completely AI generate whatever. Because I guarantee you, we've said almost every word in the English language, and our mouths are like, we're moving and we're animated, so it knows how to animate us. Like, AI can fake you like that. So I don't think we need to be exposing anyone in general, but especially anyone under the age of 18, to people who want to use AI for malicious things. Like Taylor Swift this week, or like last week, someone used AI to make very graphic and inappropriate things of Taylor Swift, and she is not happy, rightfully so.
Right.
Like, I'm not the biggest Taylor Swift fan, but I get it. Like, that's awful.
But like, that sucks.
Now imagine opening that up to 16, 14, like 15-year-olds. That's bad.
Right.
So I think,
because it's a predatory world.
Yes. This bill is a good way to start curbing that. Now, that also comes down to like, hey, parents, maybe don't put every single picture of your kid on the internet.
Right.
Like, that's just a thought. Like,
you know,
maybe your kid doesn't need to be on Instagram from birth to age 18.
Right.
Like, you can, I'm not saying you shouldn't, like, you can't post about your kids, but maybe, like, be very selective in what you post. And I've seen people, like, parents who will put, like, emojis over their kids' faces. So, like, they're still posting a picture, and they're just, like, trying to cover it up. I'm like, I get that. I would do the same thing, because, like, my kids should be able to decide what they want on the internet and what they don't. Right. So, overall, to summarize,
this is a continuous conversation.
Bill good. Bill good. Get
Update
kids off social media, because if they're not on social media, they'll start socializing with real people in real life and doing stuff off their phones. That's another epidemic.
Yeah.
Did you hear that certain parts of Gen Alpha, which is the next generation, doesn't know how to read or write?
Well, that's because they haven't gotten to that part of school yet. That's not a fair thing to say.
No, like, my sister's Gen Alpha. So, like...
Oh, and she's
anyone... I think 2009 was the starting point for Gen Alpha. And, like, they don't know how to read or write, because they're a bunch of iPad babies. And they didn't learn the skills. And I'm like, oh, my gosh, we are
screwed.
doomed.
No.
This is why my kids are going to be homeschooled. Thank you very much. They're going to be the smartest people on the planet at this point.
Wow. This is an ongoing conversation, and we have a lot more to talk about. So, if you don't know, we're about to start the Nerdiest Awards voting. Now, if you haven't been kept up to date, we decided award shows kind of the worst. And the Oscar nominations just came out, and we do have some thoughts, but...
That's going to be in the after show.
That's going to be on the after show exclusively. So we'll more on that here in just a moment. But we decided award shows, not great. So we need to do our own with our own picks and also a fan choice. So you submitted the fan choice vote for every category. And if I'm not mistaken, right now, if you're listening to this, the voting for the official Nerdiest Awards is open.
Open.
And then in February, we will be doing a full episode on all the nominations, on all the everything, and all the winners will be announced, but they get to be voted by you, the people of America, not a council of old white men, you, the council of the world.
Thank you for saying that.
It's, it's what you want.
That's what the Oscars is.
That's what it is. And so we're here to showcase some things that don't necessarily get a lot of Oscar love. So, Mr. Nick, I would love to hear all of the categories with the nominations where people can vote on right now with the link in the description.
at the top?
Start
with
at the
film
top.
of the year, or
Start
should
at
I
the
start
top.
at the bottom and work our way back up?
Start at the top.
All right. Starting at the top, we got film of the year. Something I do want to note is that next year, something we decided is that we will definitely be telling you the nominations ahead of time, because there were a handful of categories where you guys suggested things that had already been nominated. And I realized as soon as the things started coming in that we could have avoided that by telling you what was already in there. And you should have known ahead of time. And that's our
That's
bad.
okay.
But
That's okay.
first time doing it, you live, you learn. Now we know.
Now we know.
So I'm pretty sure we have 12 categories, I think is what I said last episode. I don't know. Somebody can count. Anyway, film of the year. This is the best movie that released in the year of 2023. So our nominations are Suzume, Barbie, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was the fan choice. So I'm not going to say that every time, but the last one in every category is the fan choice. So that's the one that you guys chose. So moving on to show of the year. We have Demon Slayer Season 3, Swordsmith Village Arc, Loki Season 2, Ahsoka, Oshinoko, and The Last of Us, which honestly kind of shocked me because I forgot that came out last year.
Oh, yeah, I guess it was 23.
Animated film of the year, we have Suzume, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, Miraculous, Ladybug and Cat Noir, the movie.
Ooh.
Get out of here. You suggested Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, so...
Yeah, because it's
Get outta here.
feat of animation.
Yeah, so is Miraculous. Don't boo me. I'm right. And then the fan choice was the Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yeah.
All right, Game of the Year. The award that kicked off this whole shebang, because I was mad at the Game Awards for not letting Zelda win. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Fortnite. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 Future Redeemed. Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And you're never going to guess what slipped into the fan vote.
Is it Baldur's Gate?
Baldur's Gate 3.
If that
I was
wins,
like, I swear, if that wins, I'm going to be so mad.
guys, flood the votes with Baldur's Gate 3. Flood the votes with Baldur's Gate 3.
We can't let a game that we've never played win.
Everyone flood the submissions. Use all your emails.
No, you can only vote once.
One vote per person.
One vote per person, please. Anyway, anime of the year. Because of course, I mean, we're on an anime episode right now. We gotta rep the anime. We got Oshinoko, Frieren, Beyond Journey's End, Zom 100, Bucket List of the Dead, The Dangers in My Heart, and Vinland Saga Season 2, which I didn't watch that, and I was kind of surprised that it got nominated. But if you're really mad about the Crunchyroll Anime Awards, at least I nominated shows that are from 2023.
Dang.
And not half of my shows being from 2022. Anyway,
Rip.
a very fun category is Best Overall Streaming Service. We got Crunchyroll, Max, Disney Plus, Hulu, and Netflix ended up taking the last spot.
Okay.
It was
It's
a
overall.
coin flip between Netflix and Xbox Game Pass. And I really wanted Xbox Game Pass to win because I thought it would have been funny.
Yeah.
But
that's a valid thing. I never considered that as a streaming service, but I guess it is. So.
Best Original Soundtrack, Oppenheimer, Sword Art Online, the movie, Progressive, Scarezo of Deep Night, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, the Super Mario Brothers movie, and Barbie. Best Original Song, I'm Just Ken from Barbie,
Booyah.
Stronger Together from Miraculous, Ladybug and Cat Noir, Peaches from the Super Mario Brothers movie, This Is the Thanks I Get from Wish, and What Was I Made For from Barbie. Best Director. This one is very interesting. Best Director. Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer. Makoto Shinkai for Suzume. Chad Stahelski for John Wick Chapter 4.
Oh, yeah.
James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. And Greta Gerwig for Barbie.
Wow, guys, we actually
take that,
nominated
Oscars.
Greta. We actually nominated Greta. What?
I don't want to
Who's
hear
gonna say
anybody
it?
complaining.
I don't want to hear anything about it. Go to the after show. We'll share our thoughts.
Best Actor. Jack Black for Bowser.
Booyah.
Chris Pratt as Peter Quill / Star-Lord.
You have to say it.
I can't believe it.
You have to say it. No, he deserves the win. He deserves the win.
Josh Hutcherson as Mike Schmidt.
From the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Ryan Gosling as Ken.
Yes.
And Bradley Cooper as Rocket Raccoon.
Wow. Interesting fan vote.
Yeah.
Not what I expected.
For Best Actress, we got Nanoka Hara as Suzume Iwato from Suzume. Zoe Saldana as Gamora. Karen Gillian as Nebula. Haley Steinfeld as Gwen Stacy / Spider-Woman. And Lily Gladstone as Molly Burkhart from Killers of the Flower Moon.
Okay.
Which, I don't know. I've heard the movie was good.
I've heard it's good. I don't have 3
know.
hours.
Me either. I do think it's funny that all except for 2 of these are from Marvel movies, technically. Superhero movies in general. Underrated movie of the year. We got Haunted Mansion, Asteroid City, The Shift, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, and Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, which I didn't even know came out last year.
Okay. I don't think I've
It's
ever
got
heard
Jake
of
Gyllenhaal in it.
Oh, I did know about that. Yeah.
So, and then of course, we have worst movie of the year. This is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Ooh, tomato.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody I Used to Know, The Little Mermaid, and Napoleon.
Napoleon.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then our last category is the most anticipated film of 2024. We got Sonic the Hedgehog 3, Kung Fu Panda 4, My Hero Academia Movie 4, doesn't have a title or anything yet, but it is coming out this year, Deadpool 3, and Dune Part 2.
Okay.
Which I, again, forgot was coming out this year.
And special guest, the Lego Pharrell movie.
Yes. Not officially nominated, but nominated in our hearts, the Lego Pharrell movie. So, those are all the categories, all the nominees. Go vote. The link is in the description. You can go vote.
It's your civic duty.
Next month in February, we will be doing the Nerdiest Awards.
Yes.
So,
also, don't just vote and then send a link to your friends so they can vote.
Yeah.
It's your civic duty.
And it's totally okay if you don't vote in every single category. Like,
Right.
if you didn't watch anime, that's totally cool if you don't vote. Vote
don't
for the
vote.
stuff that you do know and share it with people, and maybe they can fill in where you didn't know. So,
yeah.
I very much am looking forward
I'm hype.
to doing our actual, like, seeing what wins. There are a couple categories where I'm like, I know that movie's not going to win.
Yeah.
Or I know that thing's not going to win.
Dude.
I want it to.
I've got my heart set on Josh Hutcherson winning that Best Actor. It's happening. It's got to happen.
As long as Tears of the Kingdom takes Game of the Year, I don't care about anything
Everyone
else.
flood Baldur's Gate 3.
If it's Baldur's Gate, I'm going to cry. Like, I'll just get up and leave mid-episode. So we're going to have to do that one last.
It's so good. Hey, so
hey,
go vote.
If this does really good this year and we get a lot of support, we'll do it again next year, and we'll expand and include more. Because there was some stuff we wanted to include this year. Like, I feel like we kind of underrepresented shows a little bit by just giving them one award. And I think there's a lot, like, you could definitely expand that out and add more categories. And maybe add, like, best podcast episode of the year.
Oh.
Best hot take of the year. Like, that kind of stuff.
Hottest take of the year.
Yeah.
All right.
So
all right.
we can
Good
expand
stuff.
it next year.
So go vote on that.
Only
if
an
you
hour
haven't
into the
yet.
episode.
So
We can move into the main topic.
How anime can I get? That is the question. Now, before we answer that question by the end of the episode, I've got to stop for a moment and tell you the sponsor of today's episode. And wow, oh my gosh, who's that going to be? Don't worry, it's just us. We are the sponsor of today's episode. Now, I just got to do a little mid-roll ad for you here in just a second. If you didn't know, we have new merch in the store right now. If you go to thenerdiestpodcast.com or the link in the description, we have new stickers, we have new shirts, new hoodies, new pins, beanies, everything that you'd ever want. And we do have new collections coming up very soon, so keep an eye on that. But right now, our Icons collection just got updated. You can get your very own Nerdiest Podcast mug or shirt or hoodie or stickers, and it's a great way to support us and the show. And most of that profit goes back into the show so that we can sustain it and really just make a profit. And also, if you didn't know, you can also get access to the Nerdiest After Show, which is our membership exclusive bonus episodes on Spotify and soon to be on YouTube. Just keep an eye out on that. So Spotify.com, you go to the memberships tab, and you, for the small price, can pay to see some bonus episodes. And right now there should be, or soon at least, there will be out an episode where we talk about our thoughts on the Oscar nominations and all of that. So if you're interested in that, we have like 4 or 5 episodes out there already. And so that's just a lot of bonus content for you right there. And that's just going to keep going every month. Special episodes for you for a very small price. And it's just a great way to support the show. So that's all we have to say. Go to nerdiestpodcast.com.
All of the money, by the way, goes back into the show. So like Jackson needs a new cam link. That's where that money goes.
That's where the money
goes.
goes.
Buy Jackson a new cam link so we don't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
So you guys are supporting the show so it can make it higher quality and we can continue to make great content for you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. So, Mr. Nick, what did I watch? What did go?
All right.
Go into that.
So I'm just gonna say it because after looking back. By the way, if you haven't checked it out, on the YouTube there is a video, the Nerdiest Podcast Season 5, out of context. I wanted to shout it out on an episode.
Very funny.
Because I put a lot of work into that video. I had to go back and watch every single episode from last year and make notes with timestamps and the whole shebang on the YouTube channel. Go check it out. Some of the, a lot of funny stuff that I forgot we did last year.
Yeah.
But something I noticed is that every time we did an anime adventure, you just pronounced the title wrong.
No.
From Spy X Family to Curious Saga, Love is War to, well, you got Sword Art Online right.
Spy X
that wasn't
Family.
hard.
Spy X Family was my number 1 bit of the year. That was so funny.
No, your number 1 bit of the year was the emergency alert system is the reason my feet are stinky.
The reason my feet are stinky. That was good.
That
was good.
is good. Anyway, so we're doing anime adventures a little differently now. And if you watched our last one about Sword Art Online Progressive, you would know that now we're going into a system of I pick 3 shows, give them really bad descriptions, and then Jackson picks from those, which we will be doing at the end of this episode. I have some really good stuff cooked up, and I can't wait to see which one he picks. But before that, last time he picked with the very vague description of a muggle sneaks into Hogwarts by being a gym bro, which is Mashle, Magic, and Muscles. So I had him watch the first season, which is just 12 episodes. And before we even talk about the show, so we both grew up Christian homeschool kids.
Right.
You know how that is. Harry Potter is of the devil. Pokemon is of the devil.
More like Pokemon.
Anything with magic is of the devil. So I'm going to ask you, because I know everyone's parents were different. Were you allowed to watch anything magic related as a kid? Or was that like strictly off limits?
Here's the thing. I was, but a lot of the stuff that's like normal, like a lot of the normal stuff that you couldn't watch, like Harry Potter or like stuff like that, I just didn't care. Like it wasn't because of the magic. I just didn't want to watch Harry Potter. Like I wasn't super connected. But like Wizards of Waverly Place was one of my favorite shows ever growing up. And so like it was pretty lax, and I think my parents had the vibe of like, you know, if you're watching Lord of the Rings and like Star Wars, is it really that different to watch Wizards of Waverly Place? Like, I don't know. So we, you know, I've never I've never really had that experience that a lot of other people that grew up the way that I did had, where because I was just kind of like, oh, like I knew magic wasn't like real, like I knew it was like witchcraft was bad because it is bad, and so it's like, you know, I bet Wizards of Waverly Place is funny, and so it's like I'm not like going to getting my palm readings now because I watched Wizards of Waverly Place. Like I'm fine.
Yeah, it's more about the attitude of like, as long as you're not practicing witchcraft and you can accept that, like, oh, this is a fictional thing,
right?
Then I think it's fine.
God bless.
I was not allowed to watch Harry Potter or Wizards of Waverly Place because I fell in the category of witchcraft is bad, magic is bad. But then I was like allowed to watch Lord of the Rings and Star Wars.
Yeah,
and like because it was good magic, it was like, and because it wasn't magic, it was like the Force,
right?
Or like Gandalf had spells, and
right?
stuff like,
and it's like,
what do you mean?
What do you mean? That's not magic. Get out of here. Yeah. So all right, give me your thoughts on this before I come in and as an outsider, give me your.
Okay.
Tell me what you thought.
I'll keep it brief since this is Jackson's anime adventure, not Nick's anime adventure. I got hooked on Mashle last year. I binge watched the first season in 2 days. That like I was hooked. As soon as I finished, I actually went out and bought the manga. You can kind of see it back there. And it's just, to me, it's a really good show. It's a really funny series. The type of comedy that's in the show hits very well with like my type of humor. And quite frankly, it has a very simple plot, and I'm okay with that because it's very straightforward. Like, Mash has no magic. He wants to get in to the magic school so he can become a divine visionary, and he meets his friends, and like, that's it. It's pretty straightforward. And I appreciate that because there are a lot of shows out there like Jujutsu Kaisen and Attack on Titan that are like really complex, and you like got to break it down. Like, what does this mean? What does this say about society? And like, MASH is just like, hey, do you want to just kind of turn your brain off, watch a cool guy fight? Yeah, sure, go ahead. Watch, yeah. So it is a nice, like, balancing out show. And it's going to break my top 10 anime, but I'm not quite sure where it's going yet. Because there's another show I'm going to rewatch, and those are both going to probably slip into top 10, and I'm going to do it at the same time. But that's what I have to say about MASH.
All right.
I want to know what you have to say about MASH. Hit me with some general thoughts, because you've been stressing me out all week.
We haven't talked about it yet.
Because this man, we get on the phone, or we're like sending a voice message the other day, and he was like, yeah, it's going to be an interesting episode. I have some thoughts. And the last time he said that was the Sword Art Online episode, where we vehemently disagreed about that. So do tell. General thoughts. Hit me. What?
So, Mashle, Muscles and Magic.
Magic and Muscles.
Magic and Muscles is a show, and it's fine. I mean, I think it's good, but here's my thing. I thought it was enjoyable, but I have a lot of gripes, and
okay,
my opinion has kind of like shifted a lot in the last like 2 days as I finished the show and like have marinated on it. And what I will say is, I think it's a good show. I think it's funny, and I think, you know, it is, like you said, a really good turn your brain off. Like, it was a lot easier to watch than a show like Demon Slayer, or even like Spy Family, like other shows that we've watched from this on this series. My issue with it, though, is that I feel like I got bored a lot. I feel like the plot was very simple, and I think that it uses it in its favor, but it was an effort to stay off my phone. Like, I think in the second half was a lot better, but the first half of setting up like the villains and like the whole arc and everything was a little hard to get through because I felt like I was just watching a worse Harry Potter ripoff. What I will say is the show has such a solid concept. And so like the concept of he doesn't have magic, but he's just super strong. I think there's so much room for there was some really good bits and there's a lot of room for that. But I feel like they didn't use it to its fullest in the sense of like, I think they really, and this is one of my notes I wrote, I feel like this show has a really, really solid concept and the execution is fine, but I struggled that there was really only like 4 jokes and they were just kind of repeated like over and over again to the point where I was like, yeah, he likes cream puffs. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I thought it was funny for like 2 episodes and then I was like, why does he like cream puffs so much? This is so bizarre. And it was really weird. And I was like, they kept calling him Mushroom Head. And I felt like the show wanted me to laugh every time they said it. But they say it like they don't use his name. They just call him Mushroom Head. Like it's like it was funny once when I was like, haha, yeah. And then they just kept saying it. And I was like, this isn't funny anymore. Like, give me something else. So I felt like there was more room for a lot more comedy than what was there. I felt like it was the simplicity of the plot made it a fun and easy watch, but it could have been a little higher effort in the execution is kind of where I'm at. What do you think?
I appreciate the nuance in your take.
Okay.
Because it is very easy with a series like this to say, well, it's simple and it's bad.
Right.
Which is what a lot of anime fans do, is if it's not like a Jujutsu Kaisen or Demon or like a Attack on Titan, like 4-dimensional chess, like big brain thing, it's bad. Which you kind of got to have both sides of that coin of there has to be something that's a little more simple, and then you can have the more complex stuff. Like both can coexist and both can be good. So I appreciate the nuance in your take. I will say, as much as I have praised it, I do have my fair share of issues too, especially with where I'm at in the manga is, and this is like, it's a slight spoiler. It's not like anything super big.
Right.
But my issue with the series is I just finished volume 11 out of 18. So there's 7 more volumes for me to go. And right now, I don't feel like Finn and Lemon have done anything significant to the plot.
Yes.
Whatsoever. And that persisted in the first season where it's like Lemon is there to make a joke about being his wife, and that's it.
Right.
And she, like, I don't know what kind of magic she has. I don't know what her magic skill is. Same with Finn.
Right.
Which is weird because Finn's brother, Rain, is a divine visionary, like one of the big people.
And
he, like, hasn't done anything. He has, like, one really good moment in season 2 that's coming up.
Right.
But that's it. And, like, we haven't even gotten there yet. So I wish those characters were utilized a little more because right now it's very much like Mash does stuff, Dot does stuff, and Lance does stuff. And that's it.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, this is a common, I don't want to say, I guess, criticism that people just kind of throw around willy-nilly. But I feel like the power scaling is a little off. Where, you know, the point is that Mash is like this, like he is strong as heck. Like that's the point. And he just beats the crap out of these magic people. And I really like that he wins those fights because all of their defenses are to defend against magic, which is something that he doesn't have.
Right.
He can't, like they have no defense against him because he doesn't have magic. And I think that works really well, but I also need him to bleed a little bit. Like none of the fights in this show felt like they had a lot of stake to me because I knew he was going to win. And I was like, let him let him be a little weak. Like any of those side characters, I felt like I was more invested in the fights with the side characters because they could have died. Like they really
Right.
could have. And so I liked that, or I didn't like that. I felt like he needed to. I know the point. I get the point. The point is that he's like a meathead gym bro that just like, he's very dry and very like black or white, and he's very like, oh, okay, punch. Like that's his character. But because he's so dry and like stone-faced, I'm not super invested in him. Like even at the end, like it's played for a joke when they're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, your peaceful life with your father, like it's being challenged right now. Don't you care? And he's just kind of like, you know, whatever. And I'm just kind of like, bro, like I want to care about you. Like give me something to care about. And so like that is a struggle I have with it, is his dryness is funny, but I need a little bit more genuineness from him to really care about him as a main character. And so I wrote notes. First episode, I said nothing like a cream puff after pumping iron. Little did I know that this would be the main joke of this entire show. This show is structured around him liking cream puffs out of all things, cream puffs. I don't know, man. That was something. I wrote episode 2, I said, homegirl thought he proposed. That's a little too real. And I was like, dude, that happens on Christian college campuses like all the time. Like, that's so funny. I think this is kind of where I'm at, where it's like, I enjoyed watching the show. I enjoyed the second half more. Because I felt like there was actually something we were working towards. The first half was a little like hard for me because it was just setting it up. But I also felt like we were doing like side quests to introduce characters that ended up not doing anything. Yeah. And so that was
like
hard
we had to get
me.
the full main cast there before we could actually start doing anything.
When I was like,
because I will agree,
you know,
the second half is a lot better.
It is better because we're actually doing something.
Right. And they've introduced the stakes of like, you got to get the gold coins, and Lang is coming to take all the gold coins. So now you got to fight the Magia Lupus, which, by the way, such a cool group of people.
Yeah,
like,
dude,
the Slytherins of this series, dude. It was feel like so good, and they've never shown up again.
I would be tempted to join them. I don't know, like they're just kind of cool.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know,
cooking there, the whole like kill all the non-magic people.
Yo. But I feel like this is the show for me couldn't really find its identity, in the sense of like, there was so much room for comedy and they used some of it, but other than that, it was like him fighting a lot. And I understand, because like, you know, he's a big, strong muscle man. That's the point, is he's gotta fight. But I felt like this may have worked better as just like a slice of life type show, where it was like, oh, he doesn't have magic. He's just this big muscly guy. And there can be some stakes, but I would really like to see more of like a Love is War type show with these characters, because I feel like the show really wants them to be the goofy, funny, haha, she's in love with him, haha, Dot Barrett, which I'll get to Dot Barrett here in a minute because he's my favorite. It's like, haha, Dot Barrett he thinks he's the main character, LOL. And then it's like, oh, we're all gonna die. And I'm just like, whoa, tone shift here. Like I'm trying to figure out what it wants to be, because the fight scenes to me are a little underwhelming. Like, other than like the puppet fight, I was kind of underwhelmed. And I was like, I feel like this would work better if it was just chill and like focused on just being funny and sweet. And then there would be room to like slow down and like kind of get into his character and be like, oh, is there a reason you're stone faced? Like, you can still be funny, but it's really like, we really gave a lot of screen time to those fights that I was kind of like, okay, this is fine. It's whatever. And I understand, but it either needed to go all the way into the like dark crime, like academia aesthetic, or all the way into the goofy sitcom funny aesthetic. Because when it is really dark, it sells really well. Like when that dude turns people into the puppets, I was in. It's like, this is so dope. Like the way that they were puppets, but they were still people and like all this stuff. And there was like this moral dilemma where he was like, oh, you can kill the puppet, but you kill your friend, like all this stuff. It was so cool. And then it's undercut by being goofy like 2 minutes later. And so it's like, I don't really know what to feel, because there's room for dark comedy there, but that's not what they were playing it as.
Right.
So I don't know.
I definitely see what you're saying. So here's the thing is, I feel like if you're going to go the slice of life route, you have to take the magic out. And you have to replace it with something else, because magic almost always suggests that there is going to be some form of conflict, which then turns it into an action series again. I do feel like, and this is so interesting as someone who knows like how it keeps playing out. Right. I think it does. By the end of season 2, I think a lot of these issues would be fixed, because we kind of, I don't want to say we reached the climax because it's way too early narratively to say that, but there is a really big shift at the end of season 2, or what will be at the end of season 2 based on what's in the manga. And it does kind of find its stride from there, because now it's like, okay, time to buckle down and go. Okay. And there is still like these humorous moments. But I do see what you're saying. I totally get it. It's it does have a rough time trying to figure out where it's at. Yeah. And I get that.
You know, that being said, I do have some good things to say. I think that the soundtrack is so good. I think like they like do some really good like rap hip hop music that like when they fight that I got really into. It's hype, and I was like, oh, this is kind of my jam. Also, opening theme is really good. But
you really love some Shoe Cream Funky Love.
That after credit song, oh my gosh. Put it on repeat, dude. Whenever like it'd end on like a big line and it'd be like, ho ho, we're back in the underworld. Custard, chocolate, and I'm like, whoa, super cream funky love, so sweet. Like
this is how I got Jackson into anime music.
I'm sorry, dude. I get it now. I didn't understand anime music before this week. I get it. That is a freaking, and also like, I don't know what it is. Like the visuals match the song so well when they do like the arm swing dance. Like it goes so crazy, and I'm like the whole time, after every episode, I just be like, "Green funky love, so sweet." Like it got me. That got me. So I really love I really loved the soundtrack, and oh my gosh, dude, Dot Barrett.
Okay, I'm going to pull up my notes because I wrote a note about him.
Oh my gosh. He is the funniest.
He's the moment.
Funniest character in this show, because I know people like him. It's cringe. It's cringe. But what's so funny is I'm like, no, that's so real, because I know people just like that, where he walks up and he's like, I think that's my wife. And it's like, whoa, brother.
Whoa, brother, slow down.
Oh, yeah. I wrote down a line, and this is another point I'll touch on, is I wrote that I don't like a lot of the dialogue. But I think I've deducted that it's a personal thing, because I think it's intentionally a little cringe. I really think that like when the big bad villain's like, how do you think you're gonna win? And he goes, like a boss. Like I physically wanted to go into like my giant turtle shell and like die. But I'm also like, you know,
It's totally within his character to say that.
totally within his character to say. So I can't really be. It's kind of like watching The Office with someone that doesn't like cringe comedy, because I love cringe comedy, but for some reason, man, this gets me in another way that I'm just like, oh, he said like a boss. That's awful. Oh gosh.
I think something that's really interesting is I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Was it about Dot Barrett?
It'll come back to me. Yeah, I think it was.
It'll come back. He was funny.
It'll come back. Oh, I think the thing is the dialogue feels very high schoolery.
Uh-huh.
But because they're in magic school, you never think of that. Like, I keep forgetting that they're high schoolers and, like, they're in their, like, 16, 17, 18.
Right.
And I keep thinking they're, like, adults.
Right.
Because they look like adults.
And so it's like
the mental, you're like, why is an adult talking like this? And you're like, oh, wait. He's a high schooler.
Right, and
like,
that's kind of the conclusion I got to at the end. Was I was like, I feel like this is gross, but also I said dumb crap like that in high school, and so I can't really be too mad. So, you know.
My note for Dot is I wrote Dot and I are not related because we're the same last name, and I think that's so funny. But then the next note, because like his next line was like, "Oh, I think that's my wife." I was like, "Dude, Dot, literally me."
I was like,
literally
coded.
I feel that
coded. I was like, "This is you." The same last name too. Like, it's over. It's
like,
over.
I don't know. That checks out.
Oh gosh.
Where he's talking to the girl, and who like they saved from the guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, I can't look her in the eyes, but I can't say no to a girl. I'm like, dude.
Oh my god.
I feel that wholeheartedly.
It's so funny. So
speaking of other characters, how'd you feel about Mr. Gravitas, Mr. Lance Crown?
I mean, he was fine. He's not my fave.
My favorite line is in his first encounter with Mash.
Yeah.
He finds the thing with his sister's picture in it.
Oh, yeah.
And Mash is like, are you training to become a pervert? And he's like, no, I'm a siscon. And like is totally out with it. And Mash is like, that's not any better. Like,
no,
what?
Listen, his whole freaking thing with his sister, what? Explain this to me. That was so bizarre. Like, his entire character motivation was just his sister. And I was like, what the actual
you
heck?
know why, though, right?
I mean, kind of. It was a little foggy for me.
So, his sister was... I don't know if it was like a curse or a disease or an illness or whatever, but it was taking away all of her magic. And if she lost all of her magic, she would lose her mark and therefore would just be executed on the spot. Of, like... Her family has to turn her in to the government, and they just kill her on the spot because no lack magics at all, which is an incredibly flawed system. And kind of the whole point of this story is like, should we really be indiscriminately killing people who don't have magic? Like, I don't know.
You know.
But also, there's magic out there. Like, oh, what's his name? What's the name of the guy at the end who he fights? What's that guy's name? I don't remember.
The puppet guy?
Abel, that's his name.
Abel. Sure.
Why does Abel have magic that can take away other people's magic? Like, I feel like if
Right.
you don't have magic and it gets taken away from you and you can be killed over that, I don't think we should allow there to be magic where you can take other people's magic and essentially sentence them to death. I don't think that should be a thing. Like, there should be a regulation there. But his sister was losing her magic, so he's trying to become a divine visionary to change the rules. So him and Mash are kind of like on the same page.
Yeah.
But they had to like fight it out
and
figure that out. I did appreciate because anime really likes to do this thing where usually when it says siscon, like it's romantically charged. And I really appreciated that this fell more in the Demon Slayer type sibling love category where you just really care for your sibling.
Right.
And it wasn't like a weird
tension.
I'm in love with my sister. Like, no. Lance,
we don't
upstanding
do that crap.
guy.
We don't do that crap.
What a guy.
See,
he
I thought this was so weird. I was like, bro, go to therapy.
Listen,
bro needs
I'm
a
not saying it's
counselor.
completely.
Like,
I'm just saying I'm glad it wasn't
So-
romantic. Like, it could have gotten really weird really quick.
Episode 9 was my least favorite episode, and it's the episode I have the most notes because I felt like it was a sad story fest, and everyone had sad, like, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, saw sad background story .mp4, and I wrote down first note. Let's go from the top to the down. I said, bro, where is his dad? Because we like stopped talking about why he's there in the first place for like 5 episodes. It's like he's here to go like keep his peaceful life with his dad, and then we don't see his dad for like 6 episodes, and I'm like, bro, where is he?
He's just chilling.
And then the line that got me the worst was when he said, I respect the effort you put in, to like the villain. This guy like tries to kill him, and he's like, hey, I really respect that, bro. And then he's like, oh my gosh, like my life has changed. You respect, that's so crazy. And I was like, what the actual heck? That's so stupid. I hate that so much.
Is
and
this
then my next note.
Is episode 9 the one where it was just Mash and the sword guy fighting, or was there another fight there?
I think that was
because I know Lance had a fight in there somewhere.
I think
that
this was
very
the Lance
similar
fight.
to that.
I think this is the Lance fight. So I wrote down, I said, bro got daddy issues. Like every like villain in this show is just like, my dad didn't love me, and so now I need to commit mass genocide. And it's like, wait, where's the connection? My next note said, bruh, they all got daddy issues. And so it was like, dude, I cannot stand the like sad villain backstory of like, my parents didn't love me because I wasn't good enough for them. And I was like, okay, and
let me reassure you, that doesn't change. That is a consistent theme.
My favorite note I wrote down on this entire thing is I said, my parents tried to murder me. Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Because when he was like, and he was so like emo about it too. He was like, my parents tried to murder me. And I was like, womp womp. Like, this is so, it felt lazy. I was like, can we have like some other character motivation other than my parents don't love me?
Hey, I mean, Abel's mom got murdered, and then he was like, yeah, I'm not commit. I feel like everyone in this series jumps to mass genocide way too quickly. They're like, one bad thing happens to me, all right, genocide against the poor.
Time to
like
kill them all.
The weak, die.
Right.
Kill 'em.
And it's like,
and I'm like,
whoa, slow down. Whoa there,
calm
buddy.
down.
That's kind of what I'm talking about with like the tone. Is like, I feel like that came out of nowhere because it was such a goofy, funny series, and then we're like, kill them all, and I was like, what the heck? Like, what? Where did this come from? So, I don't know. Overall, I think I would watch more, just because it is an easy watch. Like, it's something that I didn't mind watching. I would turn it on at night, and it would be relaxing. And it would be chill. Wouldn't be insane. Like, just be a chill show to watch. And, I after the last episode, because like the third and second to last episode, I was starting to lose hope. And I was like, guys, this isn't it. Like, I really didn't like the right there. I was like, this is getting like bad. I don't like this. And then the last episode ended, and I kind of reflected, and I like kind of got like a concise opinion, and I was like, I do care about the characters, and I'd like to see what happens next, because he just found out, spoiler alert, they just found out. Everyone knows that he doesn't have magic, and it's like a thing. And like, I want to know how that's dealt with. And so, maybe I'll revisit it at some point. And maybe we'll do another episode on the second season, because isn't it running like right now?
Yep, season 2 is airing right now. I haven't started it yet because I'm actually waiting to watch the dub because I really like the dub for this series.
The dub
so
wasn't
like,
bad.
if they don't start the dub in like the next 2 weeks, I'll just jump on it.
Right.
Because I'm getting a little tired of waiting.
Yeah.
Because like the opening song has been stuck in my head forever because it's such a banger. But like
The dub was really
I
good.
don't know.
I was impressed by that. I felt like it, because especially in a comedy, like the dubbing it with the wrong voice actors could ruin the comedy. But I felt like, I was like, this is actually really solid. So that's kind of my,
I do
that's kind
feel
of my
like
whole thing.
I have 2 points and
Yeah.
then we can wrap up and have you pick your next one.
Yeah.
But I do feel like especially in series like this where the comedy is such a big thing, I feel like watching it dubbed is better. Because with like a show like Love is War, or even this, for example, if you're trying to read the subtitles and process what you're reading, by the time you process the joke, you're already reading the next set of dialogue. You don't have time to like process it. Whereas when you're listening to it, because it's in your native language, then it makes a lot more sense and you can like get through the comedy a little faster. My biggest gripe with the series, and I'm like, it's not like this is a problem, because I kind of like, I understand that's the tone of the series. My biggest gripe is that this anime almost perfectly exemplifies the power of friendship will solve all your issues, because like every single villain
I was going to say that.
Mash comes against ends up becoming his friend.
Yeah.
Except for the one at the very end who was like
Yeah.
a part of the cult.
I was going to say that. I was like, this is very
Lance,
like with the power of friendship.
Dot, the guy with the medal, Abyss, Abel, like all of them. He's like, hey, you don't have to be evil. And they're like, oh my gosh,
Oh my
you're
gosh,
so
you're
right.
so right.
And I think that is partially why their backstories are so thin.
Mm-hmm.
Is because you have to be able to see like, oh, this bad thing happened, but if that bad thing didn't happen, they'd be okay. So
Right.
when Mash does say, hey, you don't have to be a bad person, it's a very thin veil and a very thin thing
Right.
to cut through. So
That makes sense. I was going to say that too. It was very like, with the power of friendship. And then they like defeat everyone. And I'm like, bro. Dude,
and it's okay. I mean, if that's
fine.
what, I think the story leans into it enough that like
Mhm.
Mash needs to rely on his friends to get to his goal, and that's like the whole message, and I think it fits. It's just like, it's kind of funny to look, and like every time he gets in a fight with somebody,
Right.
you're like, you guys just gonna be friends? Like, you gonna be
Right.
buddy after this? And I mean, as it goes on, there's a couple where they're like, yeah, they're not gonna be friends.
Yeah.
They're not like, they're not gonna be friends, but
That's okay.
it is what it is.
That's
so
cool.
overall,
All right. Overall,
you liked it.
a good show. I would recommend it. I just,
All right.
it's not a show to overthink. That's essentially it. If I analytically break it down, I have a lot of issues. But it's kind of just a goofy moment. If you want to have a goofy moment, it's a good show.
Okay. So this is the part of the episode. Honestly, I was excited to hear you had to say,
Yeah.
but this is the part I'm most excited
Yeah.
about, because I've spent like the last week crafting these very manipulative, for lack of a better word, descriptions. So I was torn on what set, because I picked 3. One of these is a revisit, but I'm not going to tell you which one,
Oh, okay.
because I don't want you to try to deduce what it could be based off of the description.
Okay.
So I spent a week slaving over these to get some really good ones, and I'm really proud of them. But I was torn on which group of 3, because I've got like the next couple planned out. So I essentially took the overall theme of all of them, summarized it in one word, and presented that to Jackson and let him pick the theme that would be present across all 3. Now, that theme could be what the actual show is about, or it could be what feeling it's going to give you. And my options for you was what? School, family, and chaos.
And chaos. Yeah.
So Jackson chose chaos.
I did choose chaos.
Is this time around.
Yeah.
So here are your 3
Okay.
descriptions.
Okay.
First off, Mentally unstable teens are tasked with piloting giant robots to fight off the Rapture. The next one.
I think that's Attack on Titan.
The courageous adventure of a man and his totally not blood-related sister trying to save his wife from a shady businessman who likes to roleplay. And lastly...
What the...
This is my favorite one. The last one. OBGYN turned psychotic actor is out for blood, but his cancer patient sister just wants to be the next Taylor Swift. That is my favorite out of the three.
OBGYN turned psychotic actor
is out for blood, but his cancer patient sister wants to be the next Taylor Swift.
See, when you describe something and say "but," they're usually related.
Do you have a grasp on that? Or you want me to read them again?
Can I have the second one again?
The second one, like in order that I read them?
Yeah.
Okay, the second one is the courageous adventure of a man and his totally not blood-related sister trying to save his wife from a shady businessman who likes to roleplay. This is I love this. This is so much more fun than giving it to a poll. Because I get to see the gears turn in your head of like, I'm
really scared to choose the OGBYN, but like, I'm low-key so curious. But I like...
This is the problem, is they're all good.
They're all good.
Like, you're equally intrigued by all of them. And that's the point, is to make it difficult.
But also, like, the shady businessman that likes to roleplay? What the frick? Dude. Give me the OGBYN that's out for blood, but his cancer patient sister wants to be the next Taylor Swift.
Okay. So,
what did I choose?
Do you want me to tell you what you didn't choose?
That's up to you.
I'm going to leave it up to you. Do you want to know, or do you want it?
Were you going to
reuse
it? Are you going to reuse it?
I mean, I could if I don't tell you what it is.
That's up to you if you want to reuse it or not.
I kind of want to. You know what? I'm going to tell you.
Okay.
That way, it like forces me to come up with better ones in the future.
Right.
Okay. So, I'm going to start with the ones you didn't choose.
Okay.
Mentally unstable teens are tasked with piloting giant robots to fight off the Rapture. That would have been Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Oh, praise God. We didn't choose that one. Lord have mercy.
Listen, it would have been such an interesting episode, and I will put it back on there at some point. But I'm not ready to rewatch Evangelion yet.
Right.
I'm like, I can't do that.
Okay.
The courageous adventure of a man and his totally not blood-related sister trying to save his wife from a shady businessman who likes to roleplay. This would have been the second half of Sword Art Online Season 1.
Praise God.
I was debating. I was like, do I want to put
God.
Sword Art Online on here this early and risk doing Sword Art Online again? But I was like, sure, why not? Now, OGBYN turned psychotic actor is out for blood, but his cancer patient sister just wants to be the next Taylor Swift. Our next anime adventure, ladies and gentlemen, will be Season 1 of Oshinoko.
Yo, let's go.
So, I'm not going to say anything
I'm into that. I can
about
vibe
this
with that.
series.
I can vibe with that.
But it is so good.
Okay.
And I'm really interested to hear what you think about it.
I'm really curious to see if I just hate it.
It's only 13 episodes, I think.
Okay.
But the first episode is like 90 minutes long.
Oh, why?
It's like a movie. They adapt the entire first volume of the manga in one go.
Okay.
When you watch it, you'll understand why.
Okay. Okay.
It is absolutely worth watching. And I would advise you watch that one a little further ahead.
Okay.
Because did you see how well put together your thoughts were when you had time to think about it before pressing record?
Sorry.
It's almost like that's what I've been telling you to do for the longest time. Is it? Oh, it's only 11 episodes.
It's only 11. Okay. Wow.
This is the shortest we'll ever watch. We will have ever watched.
But you got to include the 90-minute episode. Like that's the equivalent of like
that's
4
only
episodes.
One episode.
Yeah, but it's the equivalent of like 4.
That's 3 episodes max.
All right.
Come on.
All right.
Come on.
All right. Well,
if you've watched Oshinoko, you'll know exactly what I mean by that description. And
okay. Okay. I'm ready. I'm excited.
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I can't wait.
So, unless you have anything else to say, I think that's a wrap on this episode. So, thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Nerdiest podcast. We hope to see you back in 2 weeks for our next episode. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're still here, don't forget, you should follow us on Instagram at the Nerdiest Podcast and on Twitter at Nerdiest Pod for updates on new episodes, exclusive looks at merch and whatnot. You can get your very own Nerdiest Podcast merch at thenerdiespodcast.com. We have hats, stickers, shirts, everything you'd ever need, and have new collections coming out soon. So keep an eye on that. Also, vote for the Nerdiest Awards with the link in the description. It's a Google form. Vote on all the stuff that you want to do or you want to see so that you can listen to our award show full episode in February and see what won. So if you liked what you listened to here today, make sure you give 5 stars and leave a review wherever you're listening to your podcast and send it to a friend that you think would like it, because we're slowly building our nerd community and we really appreciate all the support. If you really, really love what we're doing here and you want to listen to more, you can join our Spotify memberships. And you can listen to the Nerdiest After Show, where we're giving amazing exclusive content every month for a very low price. So go check that out. Highly recommend. We will see you in the next episode. And until then, bye.